Hello, good day everybody. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to do a downtown drive-through. This has been requested for probably like 2 years, since I started my YouTube channel, so it's going to be a little bit sad at times too. The tent city is still present. It's if you've ever been downtown, especially in the Lower East Side, this will be not as surprising, but to some people this may be very surprising. The scenery, that is. The scenery is going to be rather disturbing at times. So, this may not be a video for everyone to see, but it is what it is. This is what happens when you vote liberal. I don't want to get into politics, but so anyways, we're going to take a little drive through sections of Vancouver downtown, Gastown, but mainly Hastings, Main Street. So the area that is usually avoided by, or maybe not avoided, but let's say feared by most people, which, for the reasons obvious. There's a very big homeless and drug-induced population in the Lower East Side, and those people don't make the best choices while on the road, so you have to navigate through this system very carefully. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. I have taken a few of my students in the past through downtown, but it's not something I do a lot. I actually haven't driven downtown probably in maybe 2-3 years, and I have not done that often. I've only maybe driven downtown maybe 10-15 times my life. So since I've lived here since 2008. So we're just heading down towards the core downtown on Hastings Street. So you can see the tent, as it's referred to, city on both sides. It is a sad scene. That's, it has to be said. And it was not like that when I first moved here. I mean, Vancouver always had a pretty bad homeless problem and drug problem, but in the last few years, especially since the pandemic, this just it's just overwhelming. When you're driving through this environment, you gotta be on your A game. Right? There are things coming out of every direction, as you will see shortly. I'm actually making my way towards Gastown. I'm gonna drive through Gastown, then come back through Hastings. I'm gonna change the camera angle and view a little bit later on as well. So this is the environment where your shoulder checks and your mirrors will be imperative, especially for cyclists and pedestrians. I mean, as you just noticed, a lot of people do have tendency to walk on the road when they're zigzagging and crossing. So obviously a lot of jaywalking is going to be present in these situations, as we've already had some, but there'll be some more examples coming up. So when you're doing these turns at these intersections, sometimes they can be really busy, especially depending if you're driving during rush hour or lunchtime. The Yaletown area specifically, obviously Granville as well can be even worse than Gastown at times. So it depends on the time of the day and time of the year and all these different things. But most of these intersections, as far as pedestrians, were not that bad. I mean, it's when you have 30, 40, 50, 100 people crossing, and sometimes it doesn't happen often, but it can. It's a little tricky. So you see a lot of lane changing, a lot of different maneuvers that normally you would not be performing, but this is just based on the environment. And you're trying to be safe, you're trying to avoid obstacles, and you're trying to navigate through intersections and minimize the time you spend in the intersections. Speaking of jaywalking earlier, this is nothing though. So now I'll be turning left into, I think this is Cordova, I believe, so a lot of cobblestone road essentially. Pretty bumpy. This is a one-way street. Used to be a two-way. Used to. Now I believe it is a one-way street. So some tight squeezing coming up as well. So depending on the size of the vehicle and what your level of experience is, etc., these situations may be more difficult for you to handle, and etc. If you notice, I should have stopped for the pedestrians in this case because they were already trying to cross, but then reverted back, so I just kept going, but I should have stopped. That's a lesson to be learned. If you see, there's a green arrow on the top left side, so just squeeze through there. Those cars on the right have to wait because there's no right on the red light. A lot of bikes in these sections. I'm turning left here. I'll be pulling over and I'm gonna switch the camera, or switch the view rather. Cyclists coming up. Right, so again, this is where your shoulder checks and mirror checks are going to be imperative, and they should be implemented 100%. A lot of things going on here. So now we're just going to drive through Hastings, and then a couple of more turns and intersections through the different sections of downtown and back into Cordova, and we're done. But look at that. It's just a mess. There have been multiple calls to action, and the failure for our government to react, so to speak, has been massive, but to no one's surprise, at least not to mine. And I'm not saying that's the government's responsibility, but in a sense they have created this problem through their policies and through the actions that they have taken throughout the last 10, 15 years. I mean, you can even go further than that, and we're not going to get into politics here, but it's just what happens. I mean, it's an absolute mess. You got people walking everywhere. A lot of hit and runs. A lot of accidents happen here. You'll hear a lot of sirens and different things in the background. As this type of environment is going to be hectic. And the tent city continues. I mean, it's just blocks and blocks on end. One after another. Once you get a little bit closer to Clark Street, that's essentially where it ends, and there's some more tents and whatnot going on the side streets. Even here. A little bit more of the downtown, maybe not the core, but the I guess the east side would be parts of Chinatown as well. So look at that. I had a green light. This dude just, and I mean, you know, a lot of these people are not even looking, right? Coming up, we'll have a cyclist, and there's a lady up there who's going to try to parallel park and will be unsuccessful. And, you know, so a lot of things you just have to keep your eyes peeled and open when you're driving. As I said, it can be very intimidating. And we're on the move. I'm going straight, so I'm just going to go around this vehicle. Gotta look out for the cyclist, of course. So far, so good. There we go. Lots of jaywalking, as I said, lots of cycling. There's the parallel park situation, or an attempt. I'll be turning right here. Clearly shoulder check would be imperative in that moment. Turning right with the cyclist being in my blind spot, so. If you've ever wondered why shoulder checks on the road test are applied the way they are, these are the situations. I'll actually be going around an extra block because I turned right a little bit too early. Boom, look at that. There's an ambulance. Or sorry, fire truck rather. So, you know, you got to make quick decisions sometimes on the fly, and sometimes you have multiple things moving in your direction at the same time. So, yeah, it's fun times. I try not to drive downtown if I don't have to. This is just for educational purposes, and I just happened to be close to downtown, so I decided to make this video. However, generally speaking, if I'm going downtown, I'll be taking a SkyTrain because it's, you know, cheaper, so to speak, and you know, in some situations it can be more convenient unless the SkyTrain isn't working, which has happened recently. I mean, that happens all the time, so sometimes you gotta find a different way home. But so yeah, try not to drive downtown too often. That's the point. So I'll be just going an extra block and then turning right again. You know, also downtown, so you're dealing with people who are either tourists or, you know, vacationing, whatever. Maybe they work in Canada, or they're, you know, only there temporarily for business or whatnot, and they don't know where they're going. They don't know what they're doing. So you're gonna get a lot of, you know, indecisive decisions, or indecisive characters and individuals. So turning right here, and then I'm gonna go drive through a little bit more of the East Hastings. So look at that, a little bit more jaywalking. I mean, this is more typical of this area. So I was actually surprised that during this entire video, I mean, there's been some situations clearly, but I've been downtown where it's been far worse than this. And you know, you gotta be sharp as a tack, and that is a tactical team. Cyclist, lane changes, swerving, maneuvering. Now be careful when you're swerving. Make sure you always check your blind spots in these situations if you are going to be swerving, as that can be very detrimental. See, look at that. That's, you know, people cutting each other off. And this, I think this was around maybe just before 1 o'clock, so traffic was not bad at all. But during rush hour, it can be, as I call, a shit show. So in this case, it was actually, the traffic was quite nice for downtown Vancouver standards. Minus the scenery, everything was copacetic. So we'll be finishing things off right here. I'll be pulling over, and that is the end of the video. So voila, that's it. Nothing maybe too exciting for some. Maybe for some this was terrifying, but that's what the sad part of downtown looks like. And that's it. So hope you enjoyed. See you in the next video. Take care.